Base resonator here. I have a new mold from Crafted Elements. It's the honeycomb, and I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it. First off, I mixed up some resin, and I used this Promarine White Pearl and Promarine Golden Koi to make the color of the comb. That's warming up quickly. And I've got some little bees over here on my right hand side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around with this mixture of honeycomb, and I'm going to pour, not everywhere, because I want a bee in each one in a different color, which I will talk about in a little bit, but this is starting to warm up and I want to make sure I get it poured in here. Might have been easier to use a pipette, but boy. But that's okay, because some of these are going to have some of this in there anyway, because that's my plan, not because I'm making a mess. This is 3.5 ounces of resin that I mixed up here. Each one of these individual coasters holds, oh, I'm going to go right in front of the camera. Well, pardon. Hopefully I can move quickly. Each one of these coasters holds 3.5 ounces. So what I have mixed up, that I'm divvying up between the four, is the amount of one coaster. So I know I'm not going to be able to use all of it, but I'm going to be able to use quite a bit and cover areas that I need to. But I need to leave a couple areas clear for the special effect that I'm going to be doing. Okay, now to be judicious in how I mix a little bit more of this. And there's some in that one, and so there's going to be some there, and there, and then over here, and then I'll get my arm out the way. Okay, we've got some going on here, here, here. I've got some that spilled into this one. And a little bit in this one too. That's okay. I'll just go ahead and fill that one up. Now this mold has these little areas that are raised to cause the honeycomb effect, which make it perfect to do what I'm doing right here, where I'm going to have two different colors involved, and I will talk about the different color as soon as I'm done pouring this in here. Fill that one up. Boy, this is already starting to move. It's really pretty. Does it look like honey to you? I'm hoping it looks a little bit like honeycomb, because what I'm going to do with the next pour, after this settles, not after this settles, after this cures a little bit, I've still got enough in here to do this one and that one, because I had spilled a drop in each. See if I can get in these little, there's some little ones along the edge. Okay, now there's one of those little ones here, a couple of them actually. Okay, just put a little bit more in that one. It's not as deep as the others, or not as full as the other honeycombs. And I got a drop in another one over here, so I'm going to have to, apparently, just have to continue to use up this beautiful colored resin. This is just one in this 3.5 ounces. I mixed just 1 scoop of each of those micas, but the micas are going to be doing their work, and I still have a little bit left over. I'm going to pour it in something else before this congeals on me. You know what? I'll do one of these. You'll get to see how I do one of those betta fish real quick like. I gotta get down here and get an eye so that I can stick it in place with a little bit of UV. Problem is these little eyes make it almost impossible. It landed looking up at me. Now I get out of the way. Well, you're not seeing what I'm doing. Let me do it that way. And I'm going to put just a little drop of UV resin right where the eye is. None came out. Thought it did. I got a shadow right there. There. So then what I do is I get a toothpick and I flip this eye over. I set it in on top of that resin, and it sits right down into that little concave space. Get out my UV flashlight and go for just 15 or 20 seconds on this side. And like I mentioned in a previous video, when you're using a UV, like an eye to go into a UV, you want to use it with UV resin, you need to cure both sides. So this is one of those molds that is designed for UV resin because it is translucent. So I'm curing the back side, which will end up being the top side. And now that that is cured, I can pour my resin in, and I still have this gold resin. So I'm going to have a gold betta. And if it doesn't fill it all the way up, that is okay, because then I can use some other color. But I think this is going to be pretty close to, because it doesn't hold much. This is a very small mold. Produces excellent results though. This mold is available from Resin Rockers. Oh boy, I'm going to have just enough to do the bottom. Or to put a layer to where it'll cover all of the areas that you'll be able to see, so that when I mix up a little bit more resin for the rest of my honeycombs over here, then I'll just put a little bit of that excess in here. There's a high area in that mold that I'm trying to get covered up. Right there. So cool. I was able to use up all of that. Well, there's just a little bit left in there, but that'll make it easier to peel out because this is a silicone cup that I'm using. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing after this cures up a while, thought that was a bubble. It's not a bubble. It's actually a raised area of that fish. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the next layer is I'm going to put one of these bees in each one. I'm not going to put them all in the middle one because that would be too predictable. So I'm going to be putting them in different areas, but I'm going to be putting them this side down because they have some, look at this. They got some little shiny crystal things on their wings. Whee! Well, that bee flew away. I'll grab him in a bit. But what I'm going to do is face this one down. This one, whether he likes it or not, is going to go right. You know what? He got into that gold. I have to get him out and clean him up. Look at that mess. Okay, anyway, one's going to go in one and another one in a different one, but they're going to go face down. And but I'm not going to put them in. Well, I will. No, I won't. I'll put a little bit of the resin in, and then I'll put those down on top. And now the next set of resin that I'm going to use is going to be translucent, and it is going to be a little bit. I'm going to be using Let's Resin dyes, yellow and caramel. I'm going to use a couple drops of yellow and 1 drop of caramel so that it's not. It's going to be a healthy honey. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of that down. Those bees will sink down to the bottom, but I don't want them getting bubbles on them, so I'm going to pour a little bit of the resin over the top and then set them in place so that helps reduce the amount of bubbles that could collect on them, underneath them. And then I'm going to pour that translucent color over the rest of the mold. So we're going to have this opaque area, goldish honeycomb, and then we're going to have the rich honey color with the rest of it. It's going to be really nice. Can't wait to show it to you. But that's going to come out. I'll show you the next pour later in an hour or so, because this will be set up enough to where I can pour over the top, and then I will unmold tomorrow, and I'll say how sweet it is. Right, so it has been about an hour and a half, and I'm going to test this. And you can, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's sticky, but pretty well cured, so it shouldn't spill into this new color that I'm going to put in. Now, what I have done already, off camera, looks like there is a bubble right there. What I did was I ladled just a couple drops of this the honey into a couple spots. So what I am going to do is put these bees in their place so that they shouldn't have any bubbles underneath them. Now these, I'll move them around after I get them all placed. Change their orientations so that they will not all be the same. Okay, so there's a little bit of resin underneath them so that they come on, stay. Maybe if I go a little cattywampus with them, they'll stay better. They're still wanting to slide around. Those wings are just a little bit, but by moving them around like this, I'm actually getting rid of any bubbles that may have caught onto their those little diamond gem type rhinestones that were on their wings, on the front side of their wings. Maybe when I pour the rest of the resin over the top, they will be more cooperative of staying in place. Okay, now I've been degassing. I stirred very slowly, but even stirring slowly with a 1-to-1 resin, which tend to be thicker than 2-to-1, even stirring slowly, they have a tendency to develop some bubbles. Now, let's see if I can bring this in without getting in front of the camera. Does that look like honey to you? I'm going to pour a little bit in. I want to make sure that I have plenty of coverage before I go and dump the whole thing in. I don't want to have to remix more resin with this color that I have put in here, which, well, that's not nice. My hand going right in front of the camera. Now, I don't have to fill these all the way. Still need a little bit for this fish over here. Now to figure out which one of these needs more than the others. I'd like them all to be the same depth as for the coaster. If they're a piece of art, that's one thing, but if they're coasters, you want them all the same thickness. And what I could do to fix that, or to remedy that, is to mix up a little bit more resin, or I can just leave them as is because they are all really close. And this, I think these are going to be pretty. And this little gold beta is going to be pretty as well. And then I will go over this with, if I go over it with a torch, I'm going to go really fast because I don't want to mess up the mold and burn it. And I don't know if any of you have ever done this. Hopefully by accident it was not on purpose. But if you've ever burned resin, that is a trip. I mean, first off, it catches fire and you don't even realize it's caught fire, and then you're like, oh, that's not good. So, yeah. And with this mold being translucent and not transparent, you can't tell exactly how clear that honey is going to be. I see a little bit more bubbles over here than I do in any of the others. Oh, I see them now that I'm getting at different angles. And voila, they are gone. And now we wait for them to cure. I think those bees are staying in place just like I want them to. Be nice. My sister and I, years ago, we went to see this ridiculous movie. It was supposed to be a horror flick about, and it was called Swarm. And there were so many puns. I give credit to any enemy, no matter who it may be. And of course, me catching puns like I do, I just guffawed in the theater. And after a while, I had the whole theater laughing, and nobody was scared anymore. We were just all laughing when we came out. People at the front of the theater were like, what is going on? Why are you guys laughing? Everybody's supposed to be scared. I'm like, with this? No. Too much fun. So, find the humor in anything and everything and have fun. Now, I might decide to add a little bit more resin. I don't know. I don't know. But if I do, I'll do it off camera. I won't bore you anymore. Panal y miel. In Spanish, panal is the honeycomb and miel is honey. So, panal y miel. So, don't know how to say that in other languages, but I do in Spanish. So, see you tomorrow for the unmolding. Well, it's the morning. These are solid. So let me start on my right. And it comes out very easily. Same with this one. I'll turn them over just a bit. Okay, starting on the right. Ta-da! Cool. Yes, very pretty. Very nice. Wow, ta-da. All right. And now, for our little extra that I didn't know I was going to do, ta-da. So what do you think? Yay or nay? I like this mold. Things came out really nicely, very easily. There's a good depth to them. It's about a 1/2 inch. There's a dog hair hanging on there. I did not see. How in the world? Anyway, very nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Crafted Elements, for such a nice mold. Let me know what you think. Thank you to all of my subscribers. Man, that number keeps going up so fast. And you are an encouragement to me. The messages you send make me really want to experiment more with the resin art. So if you can help me out with coffee, I love coffee. I love to drink it. But that buy me a coffee thing is a supporting way for my business. So if you can do that, I'd appreciate it. So, Base Resonator, till the next one.